last 14 months we've had it pretty tough down here. Not so much myself, I'm more concerned about the people who work with me, my staff, suppliers to the hotel. Yeah, they're really struggling mentally and I guess financially. I think we just need to do better so we don't have to have these whole state lockdowns.
Today on Dirty Linen, as Victoria is in the midst of a lockdown that we hope will only be 5 days long, we are heading to East Gippsland, far from any coronavirus cases, and to the very pretty town of Metung, where we find David Strange, the owner of the Metung Hotel. Welcome to Dirty Linen, David.
Hi, good afternoon.
So, set the scene for us. What's it like in Metung this week in lockdown number 3?
Yeah, lockdown number 3. No, well, it's quiet. It's a very nice day, actually. We all went into lockdown on Friday night, as you know, and it's been a very heartbreaking time.
Yeah. I mean, East Gippsland has certainly been just hit over and over again. A year ago, there was just the very beginning of trying to recover from the terrible bushfires. And then, of course, we've all been through the year we've had. Tell us how you're feeling about the current situation.
Yeah, you're right. The last 14 months we've had it pretty tough down here. Not so much myself. I'm more concerned about the people who work with me, my staff, suppliers to the hotel. And, they're really struggling mentally and I guess financially. And it's not a very good, it's just, I think we just need to do better so we don't have to have these whole state lockdowns.
Tell me a bit more about what you mean when you say people aren't doing well mentally and financially.
Well,
what are some of the impacts?
It's really, they've lost a lot of their income over the last 14 months, which is hard to bear. Some of them have gone through the bushfire, which they've lost things with. Income lost because of the COVID closure of, I think it was 12 weeks and another few after that. Some of them were on a JobKeeper, a lot weren't. And, of course, these guys got a portion of their salaries, I guess, paid by the government. And a very stressful period for people, especially the young people who we employ a lot of. And this latest one, just when they're sort of getting back on their feet, another hit in the nose, and they're, I'm very worried about them all, and that's why I put my little tweet on Twitter.
Yeah, so do you want to just, because I saw your tweet, and that's what prompted me to reach out to you. Do you want to just tell people what you put out there?
Oh, well, look, I don't have very many followers, so I certainly didn't expect the response I got, but I just basically sent an open tweet calling on the Premier to, let Gippsland open so we can employ people and people can make a living. We're 350 kilometres from Melbourne. We've never had a case of COVID down here. Why we're closed, I just don't know. The Premier says he doesn't want it travelling down here by people, but, we went through that last year and people didn't come. We had strategies in place and we worked all through it and never got a case. So I just think it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction shutting down the whole state.
I mean, it's certainly a big one, and it really, it hit me by surprise, and I'm in the city, only a few kilometres from the outbreak. How did the news strike you? Was it just completely out of the blue?
Oh, yes, totally out of the blue. But, I think we're going to have a few of these outbreaks in around Australia for the next 12 months. But, if you look what New South Wales did with their outbreak at Coogee Beach, I think they had 11 people got it, I think. And, they put a red line around an area. Hard lockdown. They didn't lock down the Blue Mountains. They didn't lock down Wollongong or other places in the state, and they sorted through and got the problem fixed within a week or two. So, I think the Premier needs to see that, consult with New South Wales and see if he can do some things down here that keep the rest of the state open if there is a isolated case.
I guess, those that ring fencing. I mean, people talked about the Northern Beaches when they had those cases, and I believe it was actually over 100 cases in the end, although a lot of those people were already quarantined when they became positive. But I guess, what a lot of people said was that it was because it was quite a geographically isolated area and you were able to, stop people coming over the bridge. I suppose the way of keeping certain, geographical areas of a community safe relies on being able to do that ring fencing. So tell us a little bit more about how you managed it, because there was that period when there was, the so-called ring of steel around Melbourne, and you were only able to serve people that didn't have a metropolitan Melbourne postcode or residence when they're in country Victoria. Tell us about how you were able to manage that and ensure that you only did serve people that were from rural areas.
We're a member of the Australian Hotel Association, and they've been very helpful in giving us guidance, as was a lot of pubs in the country. And, well, the staff were fantastic at the pub. We had all our signage up. They were diligent in what they did. They would ask people to show them their licence. If they were in a postcode in Melbourne, they'll politely ask, not to be served, to leave the venue, please. I mean, Mr. Andrews had the ring of steel going, which I don't know how well that worked. But I think also I saw the customers were really well behaved. They really understood, and they were trying to help. And we really didn't get many cases of people trying to smuggle in. I think there was one we got. And that was a tradie who'd come up to do some work and he needed dinner and go home. So people really lift their game to help with the problems.
Yeah. I think there certainly was that feeling that we were all trying to do our bit for that long lockdown, and nobody wanted to go. Well, everyone was really happy to sort of climb out of it bit by bit together, weren't they? And everyone sort of could see how high the stakes were.
Absolutely. The customers were fantastic. They were very easygoing and they were very cooperative. We sat them in special areas. We watched the numbers. We had the pub set up. So for the social distancing and waiting in queues, we had table service. We actually put in an app called Hungry Hungry, so you could order at your table. You didn't have to stand in a queue to order or walk around unnecessarily. And we sat a lot of people outside too, which was winter was cold, but people rugged up and they realised that's what we've got to do,
Yeah, I have to say it is a very beautiful spot you've got there, and if there's an outdoor deck that you need to sit on, no matter how chilly it is, I reckon the Metung Hotel is very beautiful, looking over the water there and the sailboats. So it's I think I was there. Yeah, well, I was probably there about a year ago doing an East Gippsland fire recovery story. And, it's just a really, really beautiful spot. A lot of restaurateurs in Melbourne were talking about, this is just the weekend that they lost. The trading weekend was such a tough one with Valentine's Day and also for many restaurants, Lunar New Year. Was this a really bad weekend for you guys to let go of?
Well, it's still summer, so every weekend's very busy for us. This is where we make our money to last us through the cold winter times. And, we were booked out on the Saturday and Sunday nights. So, we would have lost probably we would have done 600 meals a day, so 1,200 meals plus liquor and drinks and what else. So, it was a big loss for us, plus waste of food. But, that's okay. We're a strong business. I'm worried more about the staff who have lost wages, and it's a big issue for them. Some of them live week to week, and they need their money.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about your staff, because I know that all over the state, people have had trouble finding staff to get them through summer, and I know that in country areas it's been a particular concern. How have you found it?
It's been very hard, but we've got a good group. So kitchen qualified chefs are very, very difficult to get. Reason being the COVID, of course. A lot of transient chefs haven't come into the country from overseas, who come over for their winter where they have no work to our summer. Getting people. We've been fine with bar staff and bistro staff, but really it's the qualified chefs are very, very difficult to get.
So what can you do about that?
Oh, gee, I don't know. Just hunt around, talk to people. It's I've got some friends in the same sort of business in the area, and they just can't get a chef, and they're closing
Really?
for days. It's a real problem, and it's only going to get worse. Hospitality is growing in this country. People like going out, but we just don't have the qualified people to prepare our meals.
I think, one of the impacts that people have talked about is that it just means you can't offer so much on a menu, or you can't be as creative as you might want to be. Do you think that's a risk?
Absolutely. In my business, it's more of a pub style food, or we are a bit quite more upmarket with our fresh fish. So we probably don't need the restaurant 5-star chefs who are very
yeah.
So we may have a little advantage there, but yeah, it's just you can't. It affects everything in your business. It's tough. It's and a lot of the chefs are leaving the industry. I know a few have gone elsewhere, especially after the fires. One guy lost his house, and he just gave up on working in the kitchen. It's hard work. And when everyone else is on holidays having a good time, you're sitting in the kitchen, with a mask on, cooking.
It's a hard sell, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
So, you've got to look after them, pay them well, and treat them well.
Yeah. Obviously, you do care a lot about your staff. Can you tell me about breaking the news to them about the lockdown, or were they just suddenly on the phone to you, or were you all there together? Like, what happened?
Oh no, everyone had the TVs on in the pub watching it, and at home, and those who weren't at work, the news was out, within 10 minutes. So everyone knew. They're all disappointed. They're going, Jesus, we've had enough. And I know we've got the virus and spreading, and people sick, and lives can be seen at risk. But there's just got to be a better way than locking down the whole state for half a dozen people in sort of Coburg or wherever it is. I think there's got to be a better way, and I think New South Wales is showing us that. And I just hope the government have spoken to them to learn how they do it. So we should do it here. And I'm worried it's going to happen again. Before vaccines are finally rolled out in this country, which will take all year. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? And I think it's about the confidence, isn't it, to plan trips and make bookings, especially for regional visits. It's every time there's a bit of a setback like this, then you just think, well, are people really going to book their holidays? Are people going to have the confidence to take the time off work? It's a mental challenge as well as the practical challenge in the moment, isn't it? Just as far as how things keep progressing.
Absolutely. Like I'd be confident to book a trip to Queensland and New South Wales, but I certainly wouldn't be confident to book a trip to Victoria. Queensland, New South Wales will be on top of it, and we're not. It should be a last resort state lockdown. It shouldn't be a first resort. It should be a very last resort to contain a virus, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a really tricky one. I think, yeah, because, I guess you definitely don't want the virus to escape and get out into the whole state. And I suppose that's the motivation between locking everyone down. But it must seem like you're being punished for distant concerns.
Well, other states have done it. New South Wales and Queensland had their issues, but they haven't locked the whole state down. There may have been an occasion there, but certainly not as much as Victoria's been locked down. And, people just aren't coping with it. This is the third time, call it fourth time after Gippsland fires. It happens again. I can't imagine what people are going to say or do, or, in our area.
Well, what are they saying and doing at the moment?
Well, they're really upset and disappointed and stressed, and, a lot of our permanents will be okay. They'll get their full pay, but we have a lot of casuals, and, they've only worked 2 days this week rather than normally 6 days, because we're open 7 days a week. They haven't got their penalty rates on the weekend, which they, want because they need the money. and they've got to pay their rent this week, and they've got to fill their car up to come to work, and they've got to pay their bills. And it must be very stressful for some of those people who look forward to their payday every week to have to, wear that responsibility.
Yeah, that's a real blow for, people who, as you say, are relying on every single shift to, just stay afloat.
Absolutely. And, they're trying to make up for their lost income of last year. So, they've got a double banger there.
Mm.
And what I hope is they don't decide to move away from the area, which a lot have, especially after the fires, because that just then compounds the problems.
Are there any of your suppliers that you're particularly concerned about? People that, you just haven't been able to sell to you this week?
Oh, I think of them. I don't know if I'm worried about them. Like the lady who supplies all our fresh eggs, and we probably buy 30 dozen at least fresh eggs a week. Her hens are still laying, so I guess I don't know what happens to the eggs. And, there's the man who delivers the ice. People buy ice because it's hot summer for their drinks. He only has a 4-month period to make his money. He's not earning anything. There's, van drivers delivering goods. It goes right down the train because pubs are the end of the retail line, and the goods get consumed at our end, but there's so many people involved in the process to get it to us.
Yeah, it's such an ecosystem, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And did you have to put food in the bin?
Yes, we put a bit in. We gave quite a lot away to staff, but we're revisiting that on Wednesday, and to see what condition some of the other food is in. Some will be okay, some won't, but we're just going to wait and see what it looks like tomorrow or Wednesday morning.
I think one of the things that is often a complaint of hospitality operators is the speed at which decisions are made, and we've talked about the closing, but what about the reopening? If you're given the go-ahead, okay, you can open tomorrow, how does that strike you? Like, is it hard to get those doors back open?
Oh, absolutely. We have to. It's a full day's work for all the kitchen staff just to get back up and ready to run. So it was a full day after the close down, so a lot of staff came in on Saturday and closed the pub down. It took most of the day, and then to reopen it, it basically takes us maybe even a day and a half, and that's prepping all the food, getting the new food in. We'll reopen on a reduced menu because we just don't have the supplies ready from our fresh food suppliers, because they don't know when we're going to be open, and it'll take them a few days to get it in, sell it, then we've got to transport it here. So, yeah, it's a very difficult thing. It's just not, walk out to a media conference and say, all right, everything's closed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. It's really tough. And I think, everyone in hospitality, and I think especially in East Gippsland, the reserves are a bit depleted, aren't they, for just like rolling with all these punches?
It is, and that's why I wish the Premier would sort of, he says he relies on the science 100%. No, I don't disagree with that, and I'm sure he's trying to do the right thing, but I think he needs to rethink shutting the whole state down. I I'm talking for East Gippsland. I'm sure there are people in my position, in Warrnambool or other places throughout Australia, throughout Victoria, who are thinking exactly the same as me, as why they shut down for a few cases in Melbourne. He should be, if the cases are in Coburg, he should put the ring of steel around Coburg and deal with it. Just as if we got them in Metung and he came and shut Metung down because the cases were here, I'd be supportive. But we don't have the cases here. We've never had the cases here, and we're so far away.
Yeah. Yep. It's really tough. And yeah, I really feel for your plight and for, all the people in your community, especially the staff that you're talking about.
Yeah. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah. So let's assume that you can open, you're back open by the weekend.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've got a few good summery weeks to come?
Yes, I do. What is it? Mid-February. March is always lovely down here. No, we'll be okay. We just want to get back open and everyone wants to get back to work.
Well, I'll hold it out like a little bit of a talisman for myself, some flathead tails and a nice cold pot of beer on the deck there.
Okay.
I sincerely wish you and everyone around you the best with getting through this, David. It's certainly been a big blow, but yeah, all power to the Metung Hotel and East Gippsland as a whole.
We're positive. We can't wait, and we'll be here to serve you all. And life's good, but we're just going through a rough patch. We'll be okay.
I certainly hope so, and I trust you will. Thanks so much for having a chat today. Appreciate your time.
Okay, bye-bye.
See ya. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about. We spend a week thrashing around each issue, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtyLinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.